is assessment, the standards, how to connect to international frameworks, the national benchmarks, certification. I don't know in this university, but I think this is common worldwide. Everybody's paying attention to. It's not enough to have your degree from the Universidad de Sonora. You have to be certified. Do you have the TKD? Do you have the STEMI? Do you have the Trinity certification in this and in that area? Very much present nowadays, all these kinds of certifications. The seventh area is corpus linguistics, which is the study of language as expressed in samples or corpora of real-world text. Instead of including in textbooks idealized conversations, is very much trying to recover language use as it is, as it happens in society, and trying to integrate this into language teaching materials, into the discourse. Not new idea, but very much now applied, right? Into what is language teaching. Another trend that we see is teaching English, but linked to more general education skills and topics. I think some of the post-structuralist criticism to textbooks in the past have had an impact in teaching materials nowadays. We are moving away from the idea that the learners are only concerned about vacations, about ordering food in a restaurant, about parties, celebrations, and holidays. And nowadays we see more in textbooks and materials a concern for including topics such as peace, human rights, environmental issues, leadership, etc. You can see National Geographic, for example, launching a textbook for teaching English in which most of the topics that are included there have to do with the environmental issues, conserving the world. So we're moving away from this idea that learners just wanted to learn English, to travel, to have fun, but now we're kind of like gaining in this. I think this is a positive, and including other skills, right? Not just the traditional skills of language speaking, writing, reading, but critical thinking, problem solving, information literacy, other things, which is not easy, right? We're still stuck in developing the linguistic skills of many students, and now we have a double task. You don't have to teach them only English, you have to teach them how to think or develop their thinking skills. This places great demands on language teachers nowadays. And you can see this, this is from a work of the skills for 21st century citizens. I don't know if you've seen them before, but they talk about global awareness, about leadership, health issues, civic issues, and many topics that are gaining currency into language courses. With these, we have what is being termed now content and language integrated learning. Are you familiar with this term? Yes? And just see the topic that we had in the presentation in the conference we had 3 weeks ago. Dr. Liu was talking about one of the tendencies is that nowadays it's not enough just to be a language teacher, but you have to be a language teacher in a specific content area. You have to learn how to teach mathematics in English, or history, or literature, or biology. So we need more preparation, because just a language teacher that can teach the months of the year and the days of the week and these kinds of things, that's gone, right? We need to concentrate. And we also have the reverse teachers who were just subject teachers now wanting to become also language teachers. And this is kind of like mixed feelings and mixed reactions here, because this takes us back to the past when we had unprofessional teachers in the field. Now we're going to have math teachers trying to teach English without knowing enough about language learning and language teaching. Very strong in mathematics, but very weak in this area, as opposed to us, right, that will be very strong in language teaching, but we are weak in content areas. So there has to be a balance. We have to work more on this. Number 10, probably not in the United States, probably not in England, but in many countries in Europe, in many countries in Africa, the same as our country, we're talking about educational reforms and language policy. Language policies are changing worldwide. And what's the direction? More coverage of English since kindergarten, elementary school, secondary, high school, tertiary level, at all stages of education in many different fields. And this goes hand in hand with some educational reforms that many of these, or at least that's the discourse, that the aim of these educational reforms are to increase the quality of instruction in schools, not so much the coverage nowadays. We have very much teaching English to young learners, to kids. In the past, our main area was teaching adolescents, university students, adults. Now, we're all looking at how in the world do you manage to teach young children, young people. And another area will be teaching English to learners with learning difficulties. The more we are integrating ourselves into the mainstream education, the more we have to be concerned about this issue, because these kids are going to be in our classes, kids with TDA, with different issues, different learning problems or needs. We're going to have them in our English classes, and teachers don't know what to do with it. And so they're telling us, look at this, we have to do something about it, because that's a trend. We're going to need these skills on how to deal with different populations. These are some of the trends that we came up with, but we can see the interrelatedness of these different trends. We can see that Corpus very much has a lot of with technology, Corpus and international varieties, globalization and technology, and all of these, right? We are discriminating different things, different trends, but they're very much interconnected, they're very much related. However, each trend should be evaluated carefully. For example, technology, what we were saying. I was just tutoring a student last week, and I was asking the student, he's having problems with a class he's taking on technology, and I asked him, do you have a computer at home? He says, no, I don't. So he has to go every day. He lives very far from the university. He has to go to the university to have access to the computers and to internet. So when we talk about technology and the use of technology as being a trend, yes, that's okay, but we don't live in a world where everybody has access to this technology. Very much of the discourse that you see or you hear when you go to these conferences is the wonderful skills that young learners have in technology, but not everybody has access to this technology. So is it technology for the students or for the teacher? Who, at least teachers have support from their institutions sometimes to get some skills, but sometimes the teachers were the last ones to know what's going on with technology. Our students know more about the technology than us. So it's all these things, fighting with teachers to include technology into their classrooms and fighting the use of technology by students. So is it this all just discourse, or what do we do with this? So we shouldn't see technology as an enemy, but we should see it as use it when it improves the learning experience. I think this is a guiding principle. If it's just to be there like on Cartolino, very much using the projector but without changing anything, it's just an ornament, then it's useless. Is the technology has to improve the learning experience. If it doesn't, then forget it, we're not doing anything. And teachers are some teachers, you can see their reaction against the use of technology for language teaching. But I find this very true. Teachers technology won't replace teachers. We won't have this situation. But teachers who use technology will probably replace teachers who don't. So even if we don't like this trend about technology and language, we should be concerned and worried about this, right? Because it's becoming a reality. And a mind is like a parachute talking about all these trends. It doesn't work if it is not open. We might like or dislike some of these trends, but they're there. And if we're not open to them, nothing is going to change, nothing is going to work. We're just going to be out of business, probably, like with this video that we saw. You just use a gadget to solve your problems of language communication. And that's it. We have 10 minutes for questions, comments, complaints, no dramas.